Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Winning Their Way. This is the show where we highlight today's professional women and we talk about, regardless of what society, traditions, or anyone else tells us, as professional women, we can level up and create success all on our terms. I'm your host, Clara Capano, and today we are talking about the importance of moving. You see, sometimes we can be comfortable. Sometimes we can be set up just fine, but the universe, destiny, fate, whatever you want to call it, may have a different calling for us. Today, I am excited to bring in a new friend of mine. I met Natalia in just a few months ago when I was speaking in New York City, and she is a world renowned real estate agent. She comes from Moscow originally, where she was a luxury agent there. She has lived in other parts of Europe and Africa. And if anyone can talk about the power of having to move to recreate yourself, rebrand yourselves, and still maintain a level of success, this girl has it. So let's go ahead, Natalia. Welcome to the stage. It's so good to have you here.
Yes, thank you, Clara. Good afternoon. I just want to say something about Clara when I met Clara, that was exactly a few months ago. I absolutely love the energy, the sharpness of Clara, how she gets people immediately and understands. You don't need to explain anything; you just say it, and she knows exactly what you're saying.
You're
And
so sweet.
I was so happy. I spent few days with Clara, and I was so happy. In the morning, I was looking forward to go and meet Clara and listen to her, and it was amazing. I'm
Yeah,
very happy that we met. You never know who you meet and where
exactly.
and what part, what age you are, and you can make friends still, not just in yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we did. We hit it off right away. So, Natalia, tell me, before we start diving in and sharing your story, tell us a little bit when you were a little girl and you thought about success. What did you think success would look like for you when you were a little girl?
So, shortly about myself, I grew up in Moscow, Russia. It's the capital of Russia, and I grew up actually in the city, and I'm a city girl, and so in an apartment, and I have a sister, a mother, and father, and it was a Soviet Union, and Soviet Union was a closed country. You could travel abroad, but you needed special visas, special reason. You couldn't just like buy a ticket, let's say get a tourist visa and just go. First of all, it was impossible. There was no hard currency. It was impossible to buy a ticket, and it was just like so. Basically, it formed me. I always wanted to travel, and I wanted to travel abroad. And because I was inside Moscow city, everything I did, I went to my father's, village, 600 kilometers outside of Moscow, and I went to Black Sea during the summer to the summer camp. We called it Pioneer Camp then, and I always wanted to travel and meet other different people, and like it was impossible. So when I was studying in high school, in public school in Moscow, I started going out and meeting different people and um, uh, like kids from like famous writers or somebody who was able to travel, and it was so different. Those children were they had all this jeans and different like sweatshirts. We didn't have sweatshirts. I was wearing
Mhm.
dresses all my life, and and my grandfather was also going sometimes to Italy, and he would bring me jeans, and I was so happy to have it. And so I
Mhm.
decided that I have to have a job that will allow me to travel. And that was my dream. I
Mm.
didn't know what I would do. I just knew that I have to travel. That was my
Ah.
desire.
Yeah,
Um,
that is fantastic. And, I think so many things that you talked about, we take for granted. Most of the people following this show are probably in North America where, we were not from a place like the Soviet Union. And I love how you say that that shaped you because, when we talk about on this show, being able to create success on our terms, it doesn't sound like in Russia, women had that flexibility to just decide what they wanted to do. Is that a correct statement?
Um, yes and no. Women, so we have it's very interesting because women are a big part of our life, Russian life, and Russian women are very well known as, they are housewives sometimes and sometimes not. There are lots of professionals. Russian women, they run household, and so in Russian family, usually the woman does everything. The woman cooks, the woman takes care of kids, the woman also works and does everything. The man is usually goes to work and comes back and sits on the couch. So that he thinks that this is what he does. He provides, but the
Mhm.
woman is behind main decisions, moving. I don't know, going to vacation or anything like this. um, I grew up in a family where my father also was a big part of my upbringing and my I was shaped in my sister. My father was absolutely self-made man. He's coming from a household with two women, his mother and his grandmother. He was born in 1944. There were practically no men in the Russian villages after World War II. And my father, he was always trying to provide to his grandmother and his mother. Um, and he was basically, I was always looking up to him. He finished school in his village, gold medal. He went to the military, and he was a high rank officer, and he made his way up just by himself. He was always a plus student, and he
Mm.
wanted the same from us, from me and my sister, and we were not a plus students. And
Yeah.
so we were always trying to be better for our father, and 99% of the time he was disappointed in me and my sister. So that's why yes, so he was working and coming back on the couch, and my mother was running the whole household. So that's how it was.
That's interesting. So, sorry, I'm having some camera issues, but we can still keep talking with you. So, tell
Right.
us a little bit on, how did you make it? What was your decision, to be able to leave Moscow? Because I would imagine, with all of your family and everything there, that was a big decision.
Yes, it was a very, very big decision. Uh, I basically what I a little bit about me is that I feel, I don't know, somehow when perestroika came to Russia, and Russia became Russia and Soviet Union stopped existing. It was in 1991, I believe Berlin Wall fell down and everything was changing, and we started traveling. And I was in a foreign, because of my desires. I went to a foreign economic trade field, and I was working in this field. And when the country changed in the 90s, we had all these foreigners coming in and bringing all the businesses, from, I don't know, Johnson and Johnson, Ford, to like smaller businesses. And I started working with this German person who became my partner. And I was flying to Germany all the time, spending like all the time in Germany, and we were distributing German goods, from like sports, nutrition, supplements to cottons and all kinds of clothes. And so what I want to say is I was comfortable in first time. Of course, I went abroad. It was shocked, but But then I got used to it, and we traveled to Hong Kong, we traveled to Africa, all over Europe, everywhere. And so um, I was comfortable with this. And I also was working from 1999. I was working in high-end residential in Moscow, and my clients were growing with us. They were making a lot of money, and they were discovering south of France, Italy, Switzerland, ski resorts, Miami, New York City. So we were also learning from our clients and traveling. And so I was very comfortable taking this decision, going to the States. Why we took this decision is because in 2014, my country started to change slowly by slowly. And my daughter was also a middle school. She finished elementary school in Moscow. And my American husband, he said, why don't we just move, to Chappaqua? And I was like, okay, what is Chappaqua actually? I mean, I knew New York. I've been in New York so many times, and we were skiing in, Colorado, wherever. But um, it, it was really, I didn't really know what Chappaqua is. And he said, well, the schools are highly rated, and she should go to school, over there. And I said, okay, great. She will finish the school over there, and then after this, she will have, the whole world will be open for her. She can be in the States, she can be in Russia, she can be anywhere she wants, right?
Mhm.
So yes, so I decided, even though I was a partner in my company and I was very successful, and I didn't need to work as much as I work right now, uh, everything was established. I thought, if I don't try, I will never know. So
Right.
the lesson from this: if you don't try something, uh, you will never find out what's there.
Mhm.
And
Right.
this something has to be uncomfortable. So, whatever is uncomfortable for us is basically making us grow and learn.
Right.
Whatever,
Right.
because if I go to south of France and stay in Chef or hotel, which I love, and I am so comfortable, and I have this beautiful breakfast overlooking Mediterranean Sea, I do learn something about the hotel and maybe my clients, but I don't grow really,
Right. Exactly. Well, and I want to ask because you brought up a really good point. You were successful. You had a business and a very successful business. And this idea of, if you don't try, you never know. But I think, for so many women, whether they live in a different country or, just even here, the idea of letting go of something successful for an unknown can be terrifying. So, what were some of the steps that you did as you moved and started your new career in New York, even though it was still in the field of real estate? What were some of the tips that you can give women who have made the decision or even had the decision made for them to start over? Where do you begin?
It's a very good question. And I remember myself, it was end of 2015, and I still had to spend some days in Moscow. So I went back to finish my 183 days in 2015. So I really count myself like starting living here in like, let's say, January 2016, just like a new year, how we count it in real estate. So
Mhm.
January 2016, here I am. From we had a view. I love architecture, and I always read and travel, and I always, whenever I travel, I always start to, try to go and see some house or museum, something connected with architecture. So why I'm saying this, we had a beautiful um, apartment in Art Nouveau building, and Art Nouveau is beginning of 19th century, with high ceilings and gorgeous, and French balcony and everything. And I moved from this apartment to the center, from center of Moscow, 1 kilometer away from Kremlin. Uh, to center of Chappaqua, literally like not too far from train station, to this frame house that is was like built like in the story from Three Peaks. It was built from the carton box, like I was like, oh my God, like I didn't get the stone house, and I just
Mhm.
and I didn't get the hay house. It was a house that from the carton box,
Yeah.
from this Three Peaks story.
Right.
And so, yes, and so I was miserable. I was crying every day almost, and I never cry. And
Mm.
so, but I had a daughter, and I was curious. What helped me a lot is my curiosity, because all the women around me, all the men, and the way they live, and how they walk their dogs, and what they buy in the grocery store, and what they dress. Chappaqua, Westchester has a certain style. Actually,
Mhm.
women go to work out, and after this they go around, and that's the style. Like I was not familiar with this style.
Mhm.
Where skirts and dresses and nice shoes, that was
Right.
totally different. And even in Manhattan, people don't dress in leggings all day long.
Mhm.
So I learned a lot, and I tried to adapt to this, and it's very interesting, because what will save you in any, if, okay, you move from North Carolina to Westchester, for example, you move from, let's say, Dallas to Westchester or to Greenwich, right? It will be different. You will miss your friends. You will feel uncomfortable, and that's the big part of your growth. And first, what you have to do is you have to connect with some local people who are local, who may or may not become your friends, and they will
Mhm.
become your friends. And I did make so many friends here. And if I wouldn't move, I would never meet these people, and I would never make these friends. And it's just like I couldn't imagine if I wouldn't move here. Now I know I can go back and forward, I can go anywhere. But so first of all, through your kids, or if you don't have kids and you move for business, for work, just try to be more social, and I
Mhm.
don't know, join organizations. I joined like diversity committee in town. I joined a gym. I didn't like the gym. And actually the second friend who I met, the second person in Chapaco, she became my best friend. She introduced me to CrossFit, for example. I
Mhm.
didn't know what CrossFit is. Yes, I've been very athletic for many, many years, but I didn't know what CrossFit. And it became my passion, and I do it religiously every day, almost
Mhm.
every day. I mean, 5 times a week, definitely. And she's still my best friend, and
Yeah.
she's,
You do.
it's
You have to get out there. You have to make things happen. You have to, put yourself and really embrace your new community. Another question I want to have is going back to growing up in Russia. And I don't think that this is necessarily specific to Russia. I just know with a lot of entrepreneurials, that spirit that so many of us have is, you grew up wanting to travel, wanting to explore the world, to be curious. Was that normal, or did you sort of feel like an outsider from the normal people? Because I know for so many of us with this entrepreneurial spirit, when we're young, we sometimes don't feel like we belong or we fit in.
I think in my town, and I'm coming from like 20 million uh people, big city.
Mhm.
I think it's normal. I think we all of us, we wanted to be something. We wanted, like, I was so career oriented. I don't know, like, I was I was a pioneer. I was uh, I wanted to be in communist party, actually.
Mhm.
and
Okay.
and and thank God I wasn't, actually, because that was the only way you could grow in career
Okay.
path.
Mhm.
And I wanted to travel again, and so for certain reasons I wanted to be there. But yes, it was for from my city, and from St. Petersburg I meet a lot of people. Yes, it was normal. We always wanted to be more and more. And I studied, my parents put me in musical school. I didn't really like it, but I went through 10 years of piano and solfeggio. It's just like whatever. And it was always like I was always busy. I was always hungry, not because we didn't have food. It's because
Mhm.
um, I had to go from one school immediately to another school. I had no time for food. I had no time for anything. And yes, I always wanted to grow. I always
Mhm.
wanted to grow. And maybe I think it's because of my father. It's
Yeah. Sounds
he's
like
the
it.
yes. I just always
Mhm.
wanted to get better. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, because you mentioned that your father was raised by 2 strong women. Were you close to those women? Did you learn any lessons from them? Were they integral or just sort of through knowing your father and the lessons that he learned?
it's very interesting, and I we can talk for hours because um, they were my grandmother and great grandmother,
Mhm.
and he was from a very small village. They didn't have central water. They didn't have central toilet or septic or whatever it is, and so to the bathroom you had to go to outdoor house to the
Mhm.
bathroom, hole
Right.
hole in the ground, and water they would bring literally like hundreds years ago on themselves, like in the
Right.
buckets. So
Mhm.
this was, and also they were working in the garden, and my grandmother, she was working on a coal mine. So it was so and because nobody else could work for them, they were just two women with household.
Mhm.
And they had sheep and they had a goat. Goat was my friend, and they had apple. They had potato field where I had to
Mhm.
pick up those little bugs. Everything was organic, by the
Well,
way.
yeah. But I mean,
Yeah,
again, the men were gone because of the war. So it really
no money.
was on these women. Nobody else was going to do these things. So, you have that strong bloodline in you of someone's got to get it done.
No man, and so I wasn't even thinking about like, is it good or is it bad? I was just every summer I would go there for like a month, 2 months, and I would be watching them. I would be running around, and then there would be dinner on the table. But how did they get this dinner? This is how they did it.
Right.
And I had to go buy bread in the store, and I had to walk, or bike. But was like my best time. I remember because it was outside. It was not in the city, and um,
Mhm.
yeah, so these women, the grandmother and great grandmother, they basically formed that you can do anything, physically, mentally. And mentally you have to be very strong in order to do physical work.
Right.
And there's another good thing just about my great grandmother. um, we are Russian, like they were Russian Orthodox, and I was baptized in the village uh,
Mhm.
as a Russian Orthodox. And so there was an icon in the house, in the corner, and every morning and every evening, my great grandmother, she was always wearing long skirts, black skirts, and we would spy on her, and we would be like, me and my sister, what is she doing? What is she saying? Uh, so she would go to the icon before she goes to bed, and she would say, "Thank you, God," something like this, like for this day. And,
Mhm.
and in the morning, she would go again to this icon, and she would say, "Thank you, God, for this new day that I have, and thank you. I'm very thankful." Something like this, the prayer. And she would go with her day. And later, from you and from many books and from meditation or mindset, I learned that you have to be grateful for the day that you had today, and as a and in the
Yeah.
morning you have to be grateful for the new day that is given to you.
So true. So true. And yeah, I mean, these lessons of, of strength, of showing up, of doing the work, again, were then passed on to your father and obviously passed on to you. So coming back to, coming to New York and building your business, you talked about the importance of getting out there and getting to know people because you have to embrace your new surroundings. From a business perspective, what are some of your best business practices that you took from building your business in Moscow and then having to build and duplicate that success here in America? What were some of the best, the business strategies that you used to help grow your business here?
Well, I learned a lot from my previous business that you have to be on top of your clients. You have to always follow up, and not just that. Like we did a lot of beautiful events for our clients, and
Mhm.
like we would do like a caviar champagne party, and some with some other like luxury shop or something like this. So here it's a little bit different, but I learned something that when you um, are not in when you're in contact with your client, uh,
Mhm.
whether you like him or not, when you are in business contact with your client, it's one flow, and when you are just doing something with your client, not necessarily drinking alcohol, but like some event. Like for example, I did event just when was it, in October. Here in Westchester we have beautiful land and farms, so
Mhm.
I met these two girls. They're running a gorgeous farm in Bedford, and they're my CrossFit buddies. So I
Mhm.
said, I was like, oh my God, this is a perfect event for my clients. So I put everybody in this farm, and we had a fire pit and apples, and everybody came, like older no kids, and everybody came, and everything they wanted to talk about. Yes, they do ask questions about real estate, but they genuinely just want to hang out. you
Mhm.
know they We
Right.
had a craft table for kids, and you really have to like give your clients some other atmosphere, uh, because they're the same people like us. What they do, they work and they come home to their
Mhm.
children, and there's nothing happening really in their life. So everything what they like to do, they actually would love to go and do something, but they just nobody invites them, I guess.
Right.
So that's what I learned from, because like my clients were so high end, you could like sometimes you're afraid to talking to them. But we had
Right.
this event, and they coming to you, and we chatting, and that's I learned a lot from this. You just
Yeah,
have
I
to.
think so. Yeah, that idea of again building relationships, getting to know your people. Don't make it all about just business and selling to someone, but again, really immerse yourself and be part of their world with them. And I think that that is, so powerful. And so many of the people that I find are successful understand that. It's about being less transactional and again, really focusing on the relationship and also having fun. We have this concept of breaking bread with people, bringing them in and taking that time to really be with them and to be present with them is huge.
Yes, breaking bread, having fun. I love
Yeah,
having. I absolutely.
definitely. So as you are a mom, how are you taking some of these lessons that you've learned and that you are still learning? What are some of the things that you are doing to impart these lessons, as a mom onto your kids?
Well, my kids are they. I mean, of course, they love me, but I'm a role model for them.
Mhm.
And I have two daughters. And it was so interesting. In My daughter wrote. She's very introverted. She's 19 right now, and she's a freshman right now at Syracuse. Uh, and she's very introverted, and she had to write an like additional essay about her moving from Moscow to school, and how she was adapting. And I learned a lot from that essay. I printed it out, I put it in a file, I saved it in all my Google Drives, because it's written like there's some things that I didn't know about her. And
Right.
at the end of the essay, and I will give it to you to read, you will see what I mean.
Okay.
At the end of the essay, she's saying, like I went to school from like Russian school to Chapaco school, and I adopted because of my friends. My friends supported me, da da da. And then she said, but for my mother, it was not easy to adopt. And I know, and I'm so. She basically wrote that she respects me so much that I'm her role model, because like I adapted and I became successful, and she sees it, and this essay is basically gave me some sort of relief because I pay so much, too much attention to my business, and I always feel guilty that I don't spend enough time with her, you know? And apparently, she didn't think so. She actually is supporting me doing this.
Isn't it amazing? The things that we learn. And I remember when I was writing my book, and I asked my son, who was 16 at the time, what do you think a good mom is? And it was someone that listens to me, someone that supports me. It was never someone that keeps a clean house, someone that makes dinner and has dinner. All those things that as women we beat ourselves up on all day long, it's like our kids see us so differently. And I love this idea that you are connecting with. We have to remember we are role models to them and making sure that, we're showing up that way for them. I think that's so beautiful. And I'm glad that you were able to hear that and learn that from your daughter because we don't always get that kind of feedback.
They always watching us, always.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's so good. I think again, because, just like you learned so much from your father, who learned so much from his mother and grandmother, it's that ripple effect and, making sure we're passing these on. As you sit back and look at everything that transpired from when you moved and left your business and brought your business here, is there anything that you think you would have done differently? Were there any mistakes that you made that you think you want to impart on anyone that's watching this, that maybe some lessons that you could have done differently or better?
that's a very good question. Um, it was very hard. I knew two people in town. It was very
Mhm.
very hard. I don't think I would do anything differently. I probably um I probably would travel more and actually pay like um maybe additionally take some maybe courses. I wanted to take architectural course
Mm,
additionally and some courses, but actually I would probably spend more time on me than on
mm,
business. But then I
mhm,
don't know how it would have come out. I wish I would know everything what I know now, like then when like I'm 5 years with Compass now since 2018. I wish I would know everything, but then again, now I think I know a lot, but I'm sure like like next year I would know more. And
mhm.
every
Right.
every time I look back, I think, oh my God, I was like so naive or so, like
Mhm.
yes. So I I don't think anything. It just
Yeah.
my recommendation to working women who I think you have to have a balance of life and work more than than you probably if you feel like follow your intuition. If you feel that you need to spend more time with yourself for your own development and not for
Mhm.
work, do it because this is why we work. We work to live
Right.
and don't live to work. So
Exactly. And
that's
I
the
think
main.
also going back to the role model, if we work so much, what is that message sending to our kids? I think so many times, even for me as a mom, there have been times where I could tell my son was tired and I let him stay home from school. But we don't do those same things for ourselves. And
No,
you're right. We have to be able to listen and follow our gut and take a break when we take a break, because we have to be able to be present in everything that we're doing. Success only comes when we're really there and fully committed but also fully present. Yeah.
that's true. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. That's the
Yeah.
main thing. And I'm still
So
liking this.
yeah, so what is next for you? I mean, you've been here with your current company for 5 years. You are still at the top of your game and still learning and growing each day. So what are some exciting things that you're working on now?
I work in Westchester and Fairfield County, which is the closest counties to New York City. And
Mhm.
my focus is at the moment on new constructions and land. I feel we we practically we don't have much inventory, and I'm coming back. I'm my background is from coming from new developments, and
Mhm.
I like new developments. We used to consult developers on the best use of the land plot and the best use of the building, and then apartments, the layout, and because we work with buyers and we know what they need. So I am trying to. I'm not trying. I'm doing this already, and that's my main focus at the moment, and it's
Mhm.
extremely interesting. I work with architects and builders, and it's different. And I'm also creating inventory, which is good.
Yeah.
I work with towns, with planning boards, and this is I like to do this, and
Mhm.
it also benefits my me and my team. On the other hand, I'm also growing my team. I just got a new member, and he's amazing. He's from Chapaco. He's local, and he grew up with. He went to Greeley, and he grew up here, so he knows a lot of people. And I really would love to see him. He haven't been an agent here, so I would love to see him grow and you know like be very successful. That's what he wants, and that's what I like. I would love to grow my team, and also the same time to grow into more development and investment
Mhm.
business.
Love it.
And there's plenty of land, there's plenty of opportunities, and yeah, like families from New York City or from around the country, when they come here, they want beautiful new houses, and that's
Mhm.
what
It's
I'm planning to
fantastic.
deliver.
I love that. Good things. And again, being a team leader and, again, just really growing your presence here is fantastic. So earlier, the first question I asked you is when you were a kid, what did success look like for you? And it was about travel and adventure and all of those. Sitting where you are now, how do you define success for yourself today?
And nothing changed. Absolutely nothing changed. Um, I still want to travel, and I
Mhm.
still want, so that this is why I want to grow everything so that my team works just like a watch, like a Swiss watch, because I want to travel. Everything I want to do is travel, and it's
Ah,
just
fantastic. I love
this
it.
is
So where haven't you been that you want to travel to? Where's a spot that is on your wish list?
well Okay, so I lived in Tanzania, and I lived on the island on Zanzibar for a couple of years in the 90s, and
Mhm.
I always wanted to climb Kilimanjaro, and I
Yeah,
never had time because when you live there, you don't do this, like it's
sure.
not that far
Mm.
from there. So I really want to do this, and you have to be athletically prepared for this. And I also like the okay so this is the one I want to do. I want to do a bike tour in Tuscany,
Yeah.
um and that's totally doable.
Yeah.
um I want to, like, and I know, I mean, I go to Italy almost every year, but I never done a road bike tour. I
Mhm.
want to do that. And then there's another, not crazy destinations. I want to go to Alaska, and I want to go to Kamchatka, which is in Russia. It's a
Okay.
Far East, and I want to see all the brown bears, and I want to fish salmon, and I want to live in whatever you call it, like in the camp.
Mhm.
I'd rather live in a luxury camp, heated and everything,
Yeah.
than than not.
Well, exactly. We'll go glamping out there to do that. You are just such an adventurous spirit and I love that so much. And without that adventure, you would not be here today. And I am just so grateful that I got to meet you. You were so kind to me the very first moment. You offered to bring me some coffee as I was getting set up. And, this idea of gratitude and adventure just trickles through you. And I know that you are being a role model, not just to your kids, but to so many of us. And Natalia, I'm just so grateful to have you on here and to share your story with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Uh,
And
I know that there
let's
is even more adventure out there for you. So you got to share all those pictures with us, and then you'll have to come back and talk to us about, living out there in the wilderness.
oh, no, no wilderness for me. Glamping, yes.
There we go. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Clara.
Oh my gosh, what a breath of fresh air she is, and so much fun to have. And, some of the things that she talked about that really stood out in my brain as I was taking notes and listening. She had this concept of be. And some of the things that she talked about is be curious. Get out there, investigate. Know that there is so much more out there. It doesn't matter if you came from a small village like her father or grew up in a huge city like Moscow, like she did. Always be curious, learn more, ask questions, be very involved with where you are and get to know people. She talked about being grateful. Again, grateful for everything that is right in front of you, grateful for today, grateful for tomorrow, grateful for the people and the opportunities. And when you live in that place of gratitude, it just opens up so much more abundance for you. She talked about be relational. Get to know your people. When she was talking, so much of the business that she had and a lot of these items that came up came from the relationships that she made in her CrossFit classes. And this is what it is. People can smell commission breath a million miles away, regardless of what industry you're in. They know if you're only looking at them for the sale versus if you truly care about them. So, again, make sure that you are really taking time to be relational in everything you're doing. And then, lastly, try, try, try. This was one of the first messages that she had. Life is out there to be explored. You've got to get out there and try because you never know when that opportunity may come and it may not come again. So if you have an opportunity in front of you, go for it. Yes, be thorough with it. Do your investigation. Don't just go and make decisions. But again, get out there and try new things because you never know where that journey to life might take you. And we don't want to miss these beautiful opportunities. So thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Women Winning Their Way. Again, this is where we talk about, regardless of where and how you grow up, you always have a path to success. You are not alone. You are worthy. You have greatness inside of you. And these women are showing that no matter what obstacles are in front of you, you can create success and do it all on your terms. So I'm Clara Capano. Take 30 seconds to like, rate, and follow the show. And please also to make sure to share it with others. Take care, and we'll see you for our next episode.